Against the backdrop of a raging COVID epidemic and a quite visceral Black Lives Matter movement, Abroad While Black was born. Our goal was to highlight Black perspectives from all over the world. It was our way of proving there are other ways to live, other places to be successful, and different cultures that embrace our Blackness. In 2020, the Abroad While Black team created dozens of responsive hot takes and thoughtful interviews covering topics ranging from current events, business opportunities, dating, and life-changing moments. In 2021, our co-hosts Cordy and Sean aim to share more success stories, more productive introspection, and most importantly, how to relocate to a place that truly values what you offer the world. Abroad While Black is more than a show. This is a social experiment hell-bent on discovering new ways to secure the bag and live our best lives. Join the Abroad While Black squad. Hello, Abroad While Black squad. We're back together again. I am your host, Sean Burrows. As you know, I am the co-founder of Ingressive for Good and the CEO of Burrows Enterprises. My goal in life is to build an economic bridge between Africa and the diaspora. My focus areas are operations, tech integrations, and investment readiness. I decided to be a little bit more detailed today as we jump into the nitty-gritty. So, if you've been following along in the series, the last thing we touched on was basically, or the whole series basically is focused on, should you or should you not install a remote working system for yourself or for your business? If the answer is yes, then today we jump into the how, the tools, the different things that you would use to make this possible. So I'm just gonna kind of jump right in there. Pretty simple today. I'm kind of just going through tools and different things like that, leaving a brief explanation about why this particular thing is important. And then of course, the tools and different things that you can use. I'm not gonna go too far into how exactly to use them. I'm not gonna go through that. But I do have a few slots every week for 15-minute consultations. So if I mention something on here and you're able to get there quick enough and get a spot before it fills up, I can show you a couple of things. If you want something more in depth, you know how we roll. Burrows Enterprises in the building. We got your back, but it ain't free. All right, this is the free stuff. So let's jump in there. So how I'm gonna basically do this is just show you what you need to get started. And then from there, after I show you what you need to get started, I've basically kind of broken it down into like core areas that you need to focus on. So some of this again is for the employers. Some of this is for you freelancers out there saying, I'm gonna take the world on by myself and get what I deserve. More power to y'all. So with that being said, some of the core areas I look at, again, after you have what you need to get started. So number one, you got to get started with certain things. Then you need your communication tools. You're going to need your collaboration tools. You're going to need your productivity tools. And then you're going to need your security tools. So those are the core element of what you're trying to achieve when you're working remotely. Again, you're going to need to communicate, you're going to need to collaborate, you're going to need to make sure that you're productive in the work that you're doing, and then you're also going to make sure that the work and the different things that you're doing and creating are secure. All right, so let's jump right in there. So again, I'm starting from the bottom and taking it all the way to the top. So if we're talking about just getting started, there are, it's pretty simple, pretty basic right there. You're gonna need internet, you're gonna need somewhere to capture your notes, and then basically you're gonna need your devices, and then you're gonna need your organization templates, all right? So internet, note-taking, your device that you're going to use. Again, very basic. And then your self-organization, all right? So mobile hotspots, I'm based in Nigeria. I'm not going to lie, the best experience I've had is with MTN. In my house right now, I have Fiber One. Sorry for all y'all who aren't here, but for those in Lagos, Nigeria, Fiber One internet is sketch. Because the power grid goes up and down and different things. They have some outages here and there, but when they are connected, can't really complain too much. So again, but this one is more so about the mobile options. So for the mobile options, I'm not gonna lie, without having to go through too much trouble, MTN has this data for me type of thing, code *121# for all of y'all with MTN. Great prices. I get about 20 gigs for about 3,000 Naira, right? That MTN 4G speed pretty much takes me through whatever I need on the road. When my fiber one is acting up, technically I use that MTN and I really don't see a huge difference in my speed. So for context. Again, that one's highly situational, highly regional. Again, in the comment sections or wherever, I know we talk to people in a few different places. You know, drop down what you work. I previously used Smile. Trash. I had the worst experience with Glow in Ghana where I was just like, never. Let's see, where else? There's so many different companies here in Nigeria. I've used MTN here in Lagos. I've used it in Abuja. When I'm in Ghana, it works very well. So I would say if you're in the African continent and you're looking for internet service, like on the go, MTN is a safe bet. So now let's get into the nitty gritty of what we're actually doing. So note-taking apps. It's the worst thing in the world when you have these amazing ideas. And I learned this in my youth. Having great ideas, thinking about certain things, simple things, and then like you see somebody do it a number of years or whatever later, and you're just like, I thought about that. Or coming across a piece of information, just so many different things where I don't depend on my memory. I depend on my ability to record information and make it accessible and convenient for me. That's really where you want to start with your note-taking app, because again, you have all these different things you can use, all these different project management softwares and different things like that. But sometimes you just need to write down a note, whether it's a grocery list or whatever the case may be. Sometimes you just need to write down a note. So some of the best note-taking apps, I started off in the game with Evernote. Evernote's pretty cool, cloud storage. I believe it's free for the most part. And yeah, you can actually share notes with people. Really cool, really interactive, really connected, collaborative, and all that good stuff. You have Google Keep. Google Keep is actually what stopped me from using Evernote. Not to say that it's better or worse, just I've already given my soul and my firstborn child to Google, basically is what it comes down to. So if you're really active on the Google platform and you have Google Suite, you're using Google Docs, you're using Google Calendar and all those different things, then Google Keep and the whole suite just becomes that much better for you. As you can tell, I was an Android guy, but for before the, I don't want to say our betters. I mean, I can say what I want to now. I'm using an Android and an iPhone, two phones, anyway. I use Apple. I haven't used Apple Notes. Maybe somebody can tell us what you think about Apple Notes. I already have what I want. It follows me across devices. You can't stop Google. So Google Keeps the one I use. From a company perspective, interestingly, we use, well, for project management, we use something else, but we're actually using an app called Notion. Now, I haven't gotten my hands dirty with Notion, but I have played around with it. I've gone in there. I'm supposed to be using it, I'm not. Sorry, Blessing. So with that one being said, Notion actually almost felt like a mini website, like the way you're able to put things, organize stuff, and put things in place. So yeah, it's very collaborative. It actually gets a lot of stars and a lot of suggestions for how collaborative it is. So there's that. So that's basically as far as getting started. That's the major part there. So I'm not going to go too far into your solid, dependable internet connected device, whether that be your cell phone, your tablet, your computer. At this point, you know, do what works for you. There's so many things that are affordable. It just depends on what you're trying to do and how fast you want to do it. The cell phone space is becoming so competitive right now that you can get really dope phones, and they shouldn't cost you very much. And then you also have the option where you can plug your phone, certain phones. I guess maybe this is where it starts to benefit you to buy a more expensive device. But you can start plugging some devices into like these docking stations, which allow you to be able to connect a keyboard to it, have a bigger screen, different things like that. Or I've seen it where you can just basically, if you have one of those big nasty phones and you got a good one for a good price or whatever, you can actually set up where your phone is the screen and then you have a keyboard connected to it, Bluetooth keyboards, all different types of stuff. So you can definitely turn your phone into a computer. But if you're using your phone like a computer, just make sure you have the type of phone that can keep up. But it's easy to do. Same thing with tablets, and then of course you have your laptops and whatnot. Pick your poison. I just got inducted into the iPhone world, so I have my iPhone, I have my MacBook that I use. It's an old one, but it holds up. That's what inspired me. Now I'm getting a what do you call it? iMac on the way. I want to protect so even the computer I'm using now is a HP Envy 2017 older joint, but it's big, 17, chunky boy. So I like bigger screens. Again, I like to, use it for different stuff. So I use a lot of spreadsheets and different things like that. So for all of you guys in that data space, and using spreadsheets, Excel and different stuff like that, go ahead and get that big screen, homie. Do what you got to do. So let's move on. So one of the last steps in getting started, or it should be first or whatever, one of the most important steps actually is how you're going to organize yourself. Now, I've touched on this in a few previous videos, so I would go and check which one. I wrote an article on time management where I touch on a couple of things. So look on that one on the website under our resources and articles. I think if not the last full video, 2 full videos ago, I touch into different tools and different things. And then there's also under the remote working learning module, also on the website, I do break down different tools you can use. So I'm not going to kill us there and waste a bunch of time. Not that it's wasted, but it's already there. So please go back, check that out. You can see some pretty cool different things there. I actually, in some reorganization, I actually I use the one that Warren Buffett uses, which is really cool, because like if you're one of those people that come across a lot of ideas, you need to know how to prioritize where you're spending your time, energy, and effort. You can't just throw yourself in so many different things and think just think you're going to get far in all of them or any of them, depending on how it is. So with that one being said, the Warren Buffett model, it kind of teaches you to which ones you should pick. And then once you pick that, I guess you know what to focus on. But there's so many different ways to do it. The other major self-organization key is your automated calendar. I use Google Calendar, of course, I already told you. But there's so many different ones. I also use Calendly. Calendly is a really cool tool if you want to actually send somebody a link and they see the openings in your schedule. So Calendly is really cool with that. That's one I use. As far as an automated tool for emails that also helps you schedule meetings, there's something called EVIE.ai. So what that one does, I forgot a good one. I'm going to go back to note-taking apps. So what Evie does basically is it's like a person. If you're not paying attention, you think there's a person answering your emails and whatnot. So basically what it does is it understands what your calendar is through this AI. And then when you're in the email, you kind of copy Evie.ai into the, like you CC it into the email, and then it comes in and starts responding in the email. Once you say, it'll be like, hey, what time are you available? And then you say, hey, I'm available at this certain time. Then it'll get everybody else to agree. It's really cool. It's really weird, but it's actually kind of cool. Weird from just wow, technology is taking off. There's so many different things we can do these days. Another note-taking app I forgot to mention, this is for company, more so you're in the driver's seat, is this one called Fireflies Ai. Fireflies.ai is dope. So basically if you're using Google Meet, if you're using Zoom and different things like that, what you do is you allow it to be able to enter into your group meetings, you give it the permissions, and basically anytime you have a meeting, it kind of slides in and basically records the meeting. The free version records the voice part. The paid version, which I don't know how much it costs because I ain't paying, what it actually does is actually transcribes it into Word. So it's like literally actually taking notes for you. Fireflies is so dope. But I would say one caveat, you do want to make sure you let people know you're recording. Actually today, I was talking to one of the lawyers for our company, and basically, you know, like when you're in there, when you're in the video chat, basically it'll say this person has entered the room, and it'll be Fireflies. And somebody was like, who is Fireflies? And I was like, oh, it's just my note-taking app. It records the calls. And the lawyer was like, so you're recording me? And I was like, oh. So I felt uncomfortable. Good thing, they're great people. OAL, if you're in Lagos, if you're in Nigeria looking for legal services, OAL, they're amazing people. So yeah, they let me know. Well, they didn't let me know, just their response told me everything, but then we had a great conversation, and I think they'll probably be using it. So that was note-taking, prioritization. There's also a to-do list as the last thing. Just get you a good to-do list where you can check boxes off. Like, I don't know what it is. There's something cathartic. Maybe I'm a nerd. I'm an operations guy. Maybe I'm somehow off. But I know just like likes on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that do something to you. Checking those boxes, when you put a list of things to do and you start checking those things off and you start getting stuff done, it does feel good. You do feel like you've progressed and you've made, you know, some pathways towards success. So I would definitely suggest that as something you can do. There are different ways to do it. There are different tools, but I just like having that one. So let's get into the nitty gritty. So now we're getting into communications. If you're working remotely and you can't communicate, it's not gonna work well. I mean like consistently. Again, being in the African continent, internet can get sketchy in certain places, and it's messed up. It's messed up. I'm not gonna lie, I've missed out on some opportunities. So like that's why, like for me, I mentioned who I have as far as my home Wi-Fi. We went and invested a bit into it because we couldn't afford to not have access or not have a strong connection with. You know, there's a few of us living in this flat that we have, and we all are working. We're all like mobile warriors, remote workers, and stuff like that. So you know, we all have to have access. It has to work. So yeah, communication is important. So the three areas, of course, you're focusing on, they kind of mix together, but you have your text, your audio, and your video. And there are so many different things. So like when you talk about working remotely, especially when you're like on the communication space, excuse me, there's really the obvious ones. We've all probably used them. Americans are kind of ridiculous because they don't use WhatsApp. They're like literally the only people in the world who are not addicted to WhatsApp because it's amazing. It does everything and you can talk to anybody at any time. All you need is Wi-Fi. So like, so there's WhatsApp. WhatsApp is great for personal, person to person, different things like that, groups and stuff. But if you're talking about like actual communities and bigger groups and stuff like that, just text only. Telegram's a good one. Again, loose communication for Telegram. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit more organized, a little bit more structured, Slack and Discord are dope. They actually have other things. I usually know them since they don't have the video capability outright, it's not the focus of what they're doing. They're mainly focused on the typing back and forth and having groups and organizing the communication. Discord is very similar to Slack. Different company. They have small differences, but they're very similar in what they're trying to achieve. So those are some of the ones you can use. As far as audio, I mean, it's obvious again, but just giving context. If you're somebody like me who has moved around a few different places, or, you know, military people, military families, you have people all over the world. So Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, and actually WhatsApp are great. And what I'm talking about when I say great, as far as ease of use, as far as being able to talk to somebody as long as you have an internet connection, and it being basically like simple enough and stable enough from a big enough company to be able to give you solid quality service that you can semi-trust. I don't like using Facebook and trust in the same sentence, but it is what it is. So with that being said, I'll go on to video conferencing. again, there should be no surprises here. I just want to make sure we know like what are the usual suspects, so to speak. So of course you have Zoom, you have Microsoft Teams, you have Google Meet or Google Chat, whichever one it is. But those are ones that you can use. There are so many different ones. I'll just say probably just stick to these. And you're safe, you're good. A lot of people just come out of left field with all these different things, these different tools. I don't think they're doing anything different if you're doing just like straightforward business. I don't think you really have to go into too deep into the other ones. So now that's it for the communications part. Very quick and easy. Again, no surprises there because this is something we've been doing. Even when working with an office, we've still been using these tools. So that's not a big thing there. Now for collaboration though, this is where it gets kind of interesting, especially when you start getting at high level. If you're a freelancer, like a high level freelancer, depending on what space you're in, this should be kind of interesting. So, so when you're collaborating, one of the first things or one of the usual things that you have, especially from the operational side, is you're going to have to be sending documents back and forth, sharing things, editing things, brainstorming together, and doing all these type of things. So of course, I'm going to start out with the obvious, Google. So you have Google Suite. So you have, let me get back here now. Matter of fact, no, let me not do that. So actually I will, since I've done all this. So please edit it here. I hope you're paying attention. I'm just gonna hit my little electric cigarette. Nicotine is a terrible drug. Whew. Vaping is for suckers, apparently. I don't like smelling like cigarettes. Anyway, let's jump back into it. Editor, action. So collaboration. So with the when you're collaborating, when you're focused on collaboration and you're working remotely, again, you're going to be sending documents back and forth. Things got to get signed. All these different things that you have to do. So again, as I was saying, I've been using Google for everything, even my website. I use Google Sites for my website. Just because it's simple, easy to use. I know how to manage it. I can jump in there with most things Google. Once you get used to it, you kind of know where everything is and how to flow. And being comfortable with the software that you're using, especially when you're going to be working with other people, is key. So again, it's not like I'm trying to sell. Google is not paying me. They should, but they know what they did. So with that being said, they offer a one-stop shop for most of the things you're going to need throughout this whole entire conversation. Like when it comes to working remotely, that's why I like it so much. Again, one-stop shop. Any type of tool you need, they have some version of it that works very well. So yeah, you have Google Docs for your word processor. You have Google Sheets as your Excel, like an Excel type of spreadsheet type of application. Now, I will say Google Sheets is really good, but it is no Excel. Excel lets you do some space age stuff that I have yet to understand, but it's good though. It's good. And then you also have Google Slides. Google Slides basically is like Microsoft, whatever the PowerPoint. It's just like PowerPoint. Same thing. It almost looks the same. So you have similar functionalities. Again, Microsoft being native to your computer if you're downloading it, and even I think the online one. I mean, it's going to have more capabilities because that's all they focus on is that particular area when it comes to documents and stuff like that, as opposed to Google just wants to own the world. Another thing that I like, so for all the Excel warriors, Airtable is dope. So what Airtable does is it just allows you to manipulate the things in a way that's like intuitive, moving lists around, moving all these different things. It's easy to actually create you put like a user interface very easily over top of a spreadsheet, creating an application. You can do some really cool stuff really easily with Airtable. Other ones to note, of course, you have the Microsoft Suite. I've mentioned it so many times. Microsoft OneNote is the collaborative version that allows you to create documents and share and different stuff like that. But most people are using Google, so that's kind of also why I'm in there. It actually makes it easier to work with other people. Honorable mentions, Dropbox Paper, pretty cool app. Quip is actually pretty cool. But again, you want flexibility. If you're a company and you're the one dictating the path and telling everybody what they should do, what they should use, and setting that standard within your company, then feel free to use whatever you're most comfortable with and allow people time to be able to work their way up or better understand the tool that you want to use. Otherwise, if you're a younger person, or younger in your professional career, I should say, and you're trying to get the hang of things, I would say just start off with Google, because number one is you're just going to be interacting with more people who are using it. So it'll just be easier for you to use. So that's mostly with the shared documents. You have different tools. So you have collaboration tools. So how do I get into this? So there are just certain things that you may need to do. So for some people, this may be kind of like advanced level, depending on what you're doing. So there's screen sharing. Now, obviously, you have your Zooms, you have the Google Meet, the Microsoft Teams. All of these things allow you to basically record the screen while you're doing that. But if you're outside of a meeting, or maybe you want to record your screen for personal or content creation purposes, there's also other things you can use. So ones that got really high marks were now I'll say I haven't used these ones, but you have Screenleap, you have Surfly, and then you have Drovio. I would look at Drovio, especially if you're just starting out trying to figure things out. Look at Drovio first, because Drovio is free. Now, Google and all those ones are free as well, but again, it's connected to the meeting. It's not like you're just randomly recording anything on your screen. The Screenleap, Surfly, and Drovio are just like if you're playing a video game or if you're doing something, you want to record your screen. There you go. So there's that one. And again, sorry, those are screen sharing softwares. Sorry. Please, if we edit that one out, that whole part. So cut, action, let's go. So when you're using collaboration tools, there are certain things, this may be a little bit advanced level, but there are just certain things that may be very helpful for you to do, things that cut down the confusion and help you kind of power through certain things. One of those things that's very useful for me, especially during meetings, is screen sharing. So for the purpose of meetings, if you're using one of the online platforms like Zoom, Google, Microsoft, they already have that function built in, so it's pretty easy that way to do it. But now if let's say you're doing something outside of that, let's say you're talking to somebody on the phone, but you want to share your screen with them, right? Weird, right? Whatever the case may be. So there's certain apps that allow you to do those things. So you have Screenleap, you have Surfly, and then you have Drovio. I would say if you just want to start it off or try out something just to see how it feels, I would try Drovio because it's free. Just if you just want a raw screen sharing app. But for the other ones, if it's more so focused on meeting, talking with people, interviews, like those type of things where you're doing it with your team or with a person, and it's just focused on the communication part, Zoom, Microsoft, and Google have you covered. So now you also have something very interesting. You may want to record your screen. Recording your screen could be for your own personal purposes, for any number of reasons, but it could also be for content creation. I didn't want to get into what some of y'all are sharing on y'all screens, but I have seen people who want to do bootleg movies or keep movies, like they stream it and then they record the screen. For some of the video game creators, there's better tools for the video game people now. There's the Twitch and the whatnot, but there's also other screen recording tools that you can use. Some of the most popular ones are, I'll give you three of them. You have Screencastify, you have Camtasia, and then you have APowerSoft Unlimited. Again, both of them get kind of the scores. I would dig deep in there and kind of do your own research. I just want to lead you in the right direction. But those are some of the things that you can kind of go into to kind of see how you feel about it. Check it out. And based on what you need and what those products or service strengths are, that's how you can kind of pick from there. But those are great places to start. Another thing that I was kind of new to, moving on to another section, is mind mapping tools and whiteboard and mind mapping tools. This is more so for collaboration, but what it's meant to do is create that same type of feeling where you're sitting somewhere and you're writing on the chalkboard or the whiteboard. I'm old. As you're talking to people, as you're collaborating and brainstorming and doing different things like that. So there's one called Coggle. Coggle. That one's a great one to start with for beginners. If this is something you're not very well versed in, I would start with Coggles because I've done the whiteboard before, but I haven't done it with the app. Another three that are also get very high scores are Mindly, Diagrams.net, and MindNote. So again, if you're trying to do those brainstorming live things where you want to have that feel where you're shooting off the cuff, writing down as people say things and stuff, I typically just type it in a meeting. I share a Google Sheet, a Google document, a Google Doc, I guess I would say if I'm going to be super official, and then just kind of write in there different things and stuff. And then other people are also able to write at the same time. It's really cool. So many different ways to do it, but these are some different tools you can use. Another space, especially when you start getting into content creation, creating, when I say content, there's so many different types, but like if you're talking about flyers, if you're talking about so many different things like that, even like presentations, there are certain design tools that you can use to make things look really cool, really good, really professional, but but it's not that difficult to do. So I would say for some of the design tools, there's a few, but Figma is really cool. So Figma was one of the first ones where it's a tool that you use to design, but it's based on the web browser. So it's not like you have to download it to your computer or do anything like that. It's just in the web browser. You can kind of pull it up. Different people can be working on the same design at the same time. Canva is another one. Also very, very similar to that, to what Figma does. Again, collaborative space, you can be working on different types of things at the same time. Really cool tools. It's really interesting. So my Ingressive is actually the one that launched Figma within the African continent, but oddly enough, my team uses Canva, and so that's what I kind of use. Designers hate Canva. I don't know if they feel like it's slowly trying to replace them or whatever, or it just bastardizes the art of design. But as far as I'm concerned, we make really cool stuff. If you check out the ingressive.org website, you can see like some amazing designs that we used, that we made using Canva. Another one, like for high-level professionals, Adobe is a good place to go to. They also have collaborative options. I think it's going to be a bit more expensive, but it definitely works. And then of course you can use Google Slides and Google Sites. Google Slides is going to be when you're making presentations, so you can create all these cool designs in Canva and then you put it into Google Slides, and then from there you can turn it into the PDFs that you use for like pitch decks and different things like that. So really cool space there. And then you also have Google Sites, which is more so, it's almost like a Google slide, but it turns it into a website. So it doesn't always look as sexy as some of those other ones like Wix, WordPress. Ones like that are typically more popular. But again, I'm not a designer. I had a very basic level skill set at the time when I started. So Google Sites was something that grew with me. I was able to use my basic skill sets and grew as I was able to incorporate other tools. So I'll probably transition into a WordPress site, sometime, I don't know when, but for now I'm using Google and it works perfectly fine. Let's see. So I mentioned some shared working spaces, but I think I'll get down into that a little bit later. So let's get into productivity, right? So when it comes to productivity, there are like core functions that you have to do when it comes to working remotely. You have to be able to set timelines, right, to projects. First of all, once you understand the tasks and different things that you have to do, you have to set timelines to it. You have to have a way that lets you and everybody else, and your boss, your team, everybody, or you knowing what your employees are doing. But you have to understand, is it complete? Yes or no? You have to understand who are the people collaborating on that project. And then you have to have information management, being able to communicate back and forth to get the thing done. So there are some really cool tools that kind of get all of these things done at once. And then there are different add-ons and all these different things that help you with your productivity, just in general. So I'll start with let's start with project management. So project management is basically when you have a project, a task, a program, anything that has a start and an end date. I would say that's where you would use project management software. You have some of the big things and stuff like that, but then you have some of the ones that are more so suited for smaller, mid-sized companies that can scale up if you want to pay that money. But yeah, you have some really cool tools that exist. So I'm going to start with some of the ones that I've heard of, some of the ones that I don't use, and then the one that I do use. And anybody who knows me, you know which is the one I do use when it comes to project management software. If you've worked with me, I've harassed your life with it. So with that being said, not number one, but one of the ones that I've heard of that's really cool is Monday. And another one is Trello. So I'm just I haven't used Monday, but it's reputable, it's popular, it's been around for years. Trello is the same. I don't like Trello because it forces you to put things into like tiles, like a list of tiles, and then you select the tile and it opens it up, and then you can see different notes and stuff there. It's just really annoying to me. You also have Slack. Slack is actually pretty cool. I think Slack is more so focused on the communication aspects of it. You do have different plugins where you can connect it to different applications like Google Calendar and all these other Zoom and all these other different things, and it works really cool. But it's really focused on the communication part as opposed to the project management part. Now, my favorite, hands down, is Asana. Asana is a beast. It's dope. Setting timelines, creating teams, setting projects, timelines, different views, calendars. You can put all these different cool things. All the key things that you have to do when it comes to managing a project and being productive, I find myself using within Asana. I have like onboarding packages, never mind. Like there's so much cool stuff. I would say like, if you want to know how to use Asana, hit me. I'll show you. I'm the boss level. Like I'm using the free version, but the way I work it, whoo, I found workarounds for everything. So anyway, that's something that's moving on from there. So those are some of the project management softwares. So now, here's something very interesting. So now I'm going to get into this, and maybe we jump into this journey together. But they have something called focus apps. So for all of you guys who are addicted to social media, or you find it, okay, addicted is a strong word, but if you find it difficult to go from, let's say like you're getting messages, somebody sends you a message on Instagram, or they send you something, and then all of a sudden you just keep scrolling. Next thing you know, 15 minutes have gone by, all that different type of stuff. If you're that person, or if you have employed those people, there's focus apps. What focus app does is basically manipulate the browser or whatever to kind of block your access to certain things, give you like timers on how long you can spend on it, giving you analytics on how long you've spent doing certain things. Like there's some really cool apps that really help you understand how you're spending your time, and also help you from like doing things like procrastinating, well, at least procrastinating with the normal ways. You'll find a new way to do it if you don't want to do your work, just being honest. Yeah, so there's focus apps. It's really cool. So this may be for employers, this may be really useful to stop people from being able to browse YouTube and Facebook and all that different stuff, if they're using your hardware. So some of those are Freedom, really cool, Serene, and this one is further down the list, but I like the name, so I'm just going to tell y'all about that one. Cold Turkey Blocker, like we about to stop this BS today. That's how I feel about that one. So that one's really cool, just as far as a name. Now again, I haven't used any of these, but I'm trying Cold Turkey Blocker first, just because I like the name. Pro tip. So with that being said, let's see what else. So in the productivity space, there's also something that's really important as well. And that is cloud, like your storage. If you're moving around from place to place and you need to be able to access information, pull up this file, see these notes, and do different things like that, you're probably going to want to take advantage of cloud storage. It's like whether you have your computer or whether you have your phone, you're going to be able to access anything and everything as you need. So so I'll say this before I get into the cloud part, you need this in general, access to information. So I'll touch on one first. So there's before I get into that one, you have remote desktop software, which is really interesting. So if you have a computer at home that is basically connected to the internet, connected to your house Wi-Fi and on when you're not there, and you have a phone that has access to the internet, technically you can go and be able to access your computer's hard drive anywhere you are. So this will help some of you guys with when you get home with your phone and you kind of like download all your pictures and all that, you can kind of free up stuff and start storing things on your computer, but still be able to access them from your phone. Still be able to do certain things on your computer and stuff like that while you're away. So it's really, really cool. So you have like Windows desktop, where else? You have, what do you have? So you have remote desktop clients. There's just a few ones you can use, but like Microsoft has one, Windows has one. There's so many different ones you can use. Sorry, I had a list and now I can't find that list. But remote desktop software is actually a cool way to access information in an interesting way. Specifically your information that you made. Because when you have your computers, you'll have stuff from years. And just imagine you have access to all that remotely. So that's really cool. But what most of us are using nowadays are cloud software storage. So with cloud storage, basically you can upload documents, everything you want to do. You can set it to where it's automatic and all this other different stuff. But if you take notes, if you wrote a contract, for us, like storage of all our incorporation documents, it's like having a file cabinet basically online that you can access at any time, at any place, as long as you have access to the internet and you've paid them enough to give you the storage that you need. So there's that part. So like for me, of course, I'm recording videos, so I take up a lot of storage. So I have like about maybe 2 terabytes. And I'm paying maybe like $9 a month. So it's not gonna kill you, but it's useful and it will cost you money. So what I use, of course, Google Drive, but some other ones you can use are like Dropbox for business. You have Microsoft OneDrive, and then you have Apple iCloud. So those are really, really cool. And while we're on this, the last thing I'll touch on as far as productivity are automation tools. So automation tools are really interesting. So like you have different ones. There's levels to this. So I'll give you like an example of 2 different levels just so you can start looking in the right direction. So you have like your texting tools, right? So like some of the ones that you're already using right now. So when you're on your phone texting and stuff and you have like it automatically finishes words, underlines things, different stuff like that, that's basically an automation tool. And you have some that take it to another level. So you have like Grammarly, which will prevent you from using the same word over and over. It gives you suggestions for how you structure your sentences. It gives you suggestions for better ways of saying things, or like what is the overall feel of the entire correspondence that you're creating. So there's like stuff like that automates the writing process for you. You have one of the really cool tools is like Zapier. So Zapier is actually like a hub that connects different applications, right? So you can have Slack working with Google Calendar or Zoom or any of these other different things. It allows you to automate processes. So if like, all right, when I send this email to this person, it needs to set a meeting and it needs to send me a reminder. You can actually write that out in Zapier, where it'll send the email, it'll set the meeting, it'll send it to Google Calendar, it'll send you a reminder. I'm just making that up out of thin air, but there are just so many different types of connections you can make with Zapier, and whoever thought about that is actually kind of a genius. And I'll save the best for last. So especially for people who are dealing with secure information, if you are, starting up a company, you have some like intellectual property that you don't want to fall into the wrong hands. There are just certain things you need to do to secure, to secure yourself. Definitely look into data encryption. Again, one of the reasons why I like using WhatsApp is that the messages are encrypted from end to end. So if somebody happens to snatch the message out of thin air, they can't read the message. So that was very interesting and very useful. There are so many different ways. Like you can, when you're using your hard drives, you can encrypt your hard drives. You can encrypt your phone. You can encrypt so many different things. So if you're dealing with sensitive information and you don't want, if your phone falls into the wrong hands, you don't want people being able to take trade secrets and different things like that, encrypt that joint, cuz very easy to do. So I'm not going to go into that because you can encrypt so many different things. I just want to make you aware that, again, encrypting is basically for digital data, it's kind of scrambling it. So when you send it out, before you send it, it scrambles it, the messaging, the data, the information, and then it sends it. So if somebody picks it out of thin air, if somebody intercepts a message, what they get is scrambled and they won't understand what it is. Now, once it gets onto the other side where this information is supposed to be reached, opened up and seen, then it kind of decrypts it and then opens it up so only the person who has permission to open it can see the information. So that's why it's important. You don't want strangers seeing your information. So you can encrypt almost anything that's digital. So just look into different spaces and see. Again, I always say, I've said a lot of different things. I've mentioned a lot of different things, but do your research. Another thing that I would say is get you a VPN. It's not just for watching Netflix that you can't get in the country that you live in. It's just in general, it's a really good thing to do. Again, it's another layer of when you're sending information out from your electronic device, that it's encrypting it, making sure it's sending it in different ways so it's not easy to be able to intercept this information. So I personally use Nord, Shark, Express. There's so many VPNs. I would just, again, do your research. Nord is one of the top ones. There are so many different ones, but yeah, you can just Google it and they'll tell you which ones are hot and which ones are not. When it comes to secure online backup, now again, I use Google Drive. I haven't gone so far as saying like I need something that's like rock solid, like, right? But if you do need something like that, I would say iDrive and Backblaze are two really cool ones to use. Now they both have like subtle differences, so I would look into them to see kind of like what the differences are based on what your needs. But those are the two main ones for like secure online cloud backup. When it comes to secure communications, some people cannot trust, like even WhatsApp's encryption is not enough for them. They want to have their own communications platform. So you have something called Mattermost, where basically it's open source, so you can run it where it only operates on your server. So it's not operating on Facebook servers, it's not operating on Google servers. You have your own server where the information is coming from there to wherever it's going. It's coming, if you send something from your phone, it's coming to our server and then going to the place where it's supposed to go. So Mattermost is one of those places where that's kind of advanced, high level stuff. So there's that part. Other things, so that's basically it. There are so many different things. Like I would also say, just like I was talking about data encryption, two-factor authentication. Authentication. I was going to say authentication. I was about to make up a word on y'all. But authentication, two-way just means like if you type in your password, maybe they need to send you. So like sometimes when you're doing banking transactions, it asks you for your PIN number, your transaction PIN, but it also sends a message to your phone that says this is the security code if it's gone over a certain balance or something like that. So you have different different ways where you double secure something. So another example is like when you're using your email where or logins where you have the password, but it also asks you a security question. So those are some ways where you have two-factor authentication, meaning two ways of identifying who you are, the person you say you are. There's also password managers and different things like that also help you be able to come up with some funky, crazy passwords that nobody can remember, including yourself, but also give you access to that one. So you just remember one password and have access to all of them. So those are some things you want to do to basically secure yourself. So for me, that's mainly it. Those are mostly the tools I would say you need or have to have if you want to really focus on working remotely. Again, I went from employee, employer. I also went from very basic to very, very high level advanced, depending on what it is you're trying to do. So I'm pretty sure you guys are going to fall somewhere in between there. So yeah, that's what I got. So if you like the information, please like, subscribe, make sure you follow us on our social media platforms. Burroughs Enterprises on Instagram, Abroad While Black on Facebook. Woo! We're also on Twitter and in different spaces as well. Please come to the website, www.burroughsenterprises.com. And again, you'll find so many different resources. I'm writing articles, we're recording videos on operations, I'm doing interviews of cool people, not only from a professional perspective, but also capturing different perspectives of people who've lived in different places in the world. Last week, our featured interview was my guy Joel, who is launching this really cool alcoholic beverage brand. I'm actually in partnership with him. He's based in Amsterdam, so he actually just leveraging his passport to be able to go somewhere, leverage their local information, and then be able to come back and take it to where it's more valuable. So again, we're attacking this thing from all angles to make sure that we're doing business and we're becoming better people. Again, I focus on operations because operations help me make sense of the world. It's almost like a new religion for me. So yeah, keep following us. And yeah, if there's anything, leave comments in the section. Leave comments in the section below if you have any questions, anything I can help you out with. And also go to the website and subscribe to our newsletter. Each month we have a new topic, a new focus area. I break it down into 3 areas, and we get on down. We get into the nitty gritty. We're also launching another brand within the family. Ronke is coming out with Ronke's Hotspot Report, so look for videos on that as well. More so right now focused on Lagos, Nigeria. I'm pretty sure we'll get some more people going in, but she's gonna let you know where the hot spots are, where to get the good drinks, the amazing bartenders, the affordable locations, all these different things, the vibes, different stuff like that. So be looking forward to that coming soon. So yeah, we're gonna be your one-stop shop for entertainment very soon. So yeah, with that being said, y'all be blessed. If you like the information that I'm sharing and you're seeing this on YouTube, please, please, please just break dance on that like button. I mean, I'm talking about just hit it. All right. Thank y'all. Again, be blessed. Oh, next week, we're going to get into tips and tricks for working remotely. So be prepared for that. Thank you.